Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I'm not on the water today. You guys have probably seen on social media or Bassmaster.com that we once again had a one-day event in the Bassmaster Opens this year. That's the second event this season. The first one at Sam Rayburn got canceled down to a one-day tournament, one-day shootout, and this one ended up being a one-day shootout. And shout out to Casey Scanlon for winning this event. I'm sure that that he was kind of on edge, wondering if he was going to win after having a really good day one, and that's the case. So well deserved, 18.5 pounds. That's pretty tremendous. But that's not honestly, the biggest story of this event. It really, the biggest story is just the crazy, insane weather that we've had all week long. It's been exhausting, just dodging tornadoes and dodging flooding conditions, trying to make the best decision that you possibly can. Last night, we were our household was staying right there on the White River, and we were all kind of like ready to just stay overnight. And at one point right before dark, I walked outside, and we had seen that the river was coming up, that it had risen at least 10 feet or something like that. But it had a ways to go to where it was, to a point where we were worried about it. But the one thing that changed all our minds was we got out on the deck and looked down, and I pointed out, I was like, that gravel pad, there's like a gravel ledge that was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 feet down the embankment, from the crest of the berm there, where our house was. And it might have been like 10 feet maybe, but we watched that ledge get covered in water, which it was kind of like angled, so it was probably about 1.5 feet of water needed to cover it. And we watched that thing get engulfed in a matter of minutes, just sitting there talking about it, like 5, 6, 7 minutes or something like that. So 1.5 feet in about 5 to 7 minutes. And then we started to notice there wasn't too many people, because these were mostly vacation houses. There wasn't too many people that were living in the houses, but we did notice that everybody that lived in that community, because there's only one way out and one way in, and it's through a dirt road. And that dirt road, Matt, Stefan, and I had gone up just to check it, about an hour and a half earlier, and we could see it was already starting to get washed out. We weren't sure how much more it could take before. I mean, we could still get our trucks out if it got real bad, but you'd have to leave the boats. But anyways, we're watching the community, the people that did live there, start packing up all their stuff from outside their houses inside. And so I ended up going and introducing myself to some neighbors a couple doors down, and talked to them, and they made it, they didn't tell me what to do, but they did say that historically it has gotten like, all these houses are on stilts, and some of them, like ours, had a finished basement, but non-insulated finished basement. So like, it was built to, if it floods, it's not catastrophic, for that lower, living quarters. But they were saying that those areas below the houses had been flooded all the way up to the top floor before, which means that, even though it had about 15 feet to go, it had historically done that before. And we're talking about, what the news is calling like 100-year generational flooding. So we, at that point, were just like, okay. And not only that, but to get up to the house had to be 15 feet, but you only had to be about, I don't know, 10 feet maybe more for the road to flood. And if the road flooded, there's no way out. We would just have to sit there and take whatever came, which means that we would run the risk of maybe our trucks being flooded. So anyways, I don't know how the river is today. I do know that when we left, you know, one of the guys in the house checked on the generation schedule of the White River. It was at 20,000 CFS at that point, but it was predicted to quadruple, so to go up to 80,000. So I think we made the right decision. And on the way out, that spot that I said was starting to get washed out was like twice as bad, if not more. And I mean, that was a spot where you really had to gun it in 4-wheel low to go up the hill. And so I had it on 4-wheel low, and you know, it was to the point where any more erosion, I don't think you'd be able to get your trailer through it without damaging it severely. So anyways, guys, really wild. I ended up staying at you know, another friend's house, or you know, rental, you know, Joey Nanio. I stayed at his place, Mike Mayo. Those guys, you know, let me stay with them, so thank you guys. And then we hit the road this morning. We actually have hit some major flooding already. I'll put you know, a real quick clip of, you know, one of the roads that got completely washed out. I tried to meet up with some other buddies and caravan out, but we kind of got separated. My phone started taking me in a different direction. We weren't, you know, we hadn't met yet, and I thought we were taking the same route. I was just a little bit behind, but I guess my phone, you know, took me a different direction. And everything's so new, all this flooding's so new, that the phones have not updated with, you know, the routes that are safe to go on. So I've already seen some areas where culverts were washed out, and you can see where the flash flooding yesterday has, you know, just flooded, you know, across the roads. So fortunately, we haven't had much of that, but again, we have run into some spots where we had to turn around. I just had to take a hour-long detour. I'm actually in the middle of that, so I stopped for gas. That's one thing you got to do in an emergency like this. You got to be smart. I wouldn't call this an emergency, but in these type of conditions where you don't know what the route is going to be, that you're going to take to get out, just make sure you have your gas tank full at every gas station. Around here, there's not a lot of towns. It's all small country roads, and so we stopped at this Casey's and just, you know, put another $15 in the gas tank to top it off. And yeah, the storm is hitting us pretty bad right now. You can see, let me turn this around. You can see out there, it is really pouring. And so I'm not going to talk for too much longer, because I've seen what can happen out here in a very, very brief amount of time. In fact, Matt and I, when we went to go check on the road conditions, we went across a couple low areas that you know, we were worried about. Nothing there. And by the time we turned around, which was a matter of like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, by the time we turned around, it was starting to flood. So that's the kind of stuff that you really got to be careful of. So I commend the whole house for making the decision that they did. I wish I could see the river conditions today to see if we actually made the right move as far as the river. But you know, seeing the road the way it was, I don't think we made a bad decision. But anyways, guys, as far as fishing goes, we finished 95th. Obviously, we got the one day. We had 11 pounds 5 ounces, or 4 or 5 ounces, I can't remember. And so not a great tournament, but we only slid 3 spots. So we're in 63rd or 62nd in points. So with one event left, we've still got plenty of opportunity to get in the top 50. But we've only fished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in the Opens this year out of 3 tournaments. That's wild. That's wild. And that's including a top 10 where I fished all 3 days. So, wow. Really, really crazy. But anyways, guys, just wanted to thank Bassmaster Hank. You know, Hank Weldon, I do not envy his job. There's a lot of people that, you know, they want to, you know, share their opinion on what he should and shouldn't do. And, you know, of course, you know, we all have opinions on what should happen. I think that the consensus amongst our house was like, I don't want to be here. I want to go home. I don't want to get stuck. There's, like I said, it's country roads, you know, lots of gullies, lots of stuff, lots of ways for you to get stuck around here. And so I wanted to go home, and I think that Hank made a really, really, really good decision. It wasn't just about the water conditions, which I think were very hazardous, but it's also about getting people home safely. So thank you, Hank, for that. I know that it was a really, really tough decision. It's been a really tough year on you, but I think you made a really good choice. You made the best choice that you possibly could with the information that you had, and that's all any of us could ask for, regardless of what we end up, you know, our opinion ends up being after the fact. So anyways, guys, yeah, we're on our way home, and so I will keep you guys posted. If anything crazy happens, you'll find out about it right here. So thank you guys for watching. Wish me luck on the drive back. I'm gonna see you out on the water. Hopefully that water is on a lake somewhere and not right here on the road. Trust the process. I'll see you later.